Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Prussian campaign, and this is actually going to be a little bit of a first for me, considering how when I recorded this video, for some reason, OBS decided that it did not want to actually pick up my mic, so I'm actually recording the same thing that I have recorded once before again, and I'm going to use my amazing editing skills, which are like practically trash, to put it and piece it all together. So, a lot of things happen in this episode. We're essentially starting off by coring up what we gained from France, which wasn't too much. I mean, we released Ferrara and all that stuff. And then the main goal was to go up against Scandinavia, because obviously we want Lubeck and to fully kick them out of what German territory is all here and all that good stuff. And then, the thing about it is, right, that the videos of this Prussian campaign have just been relentlessly going after the Ottomans, and I'm so pumped to constantly go at them. Constantly. And right now, they're having this fight against the Ottomans, or the Ottomans are having a fight against the British for there's an imperialist war for Songhai, so they're involved in that conflict. But we're going to be slowly moving our armies northward towards Scandinavia. I was kind of trying to see which cores I could practically take from here, because I mean, we have Gascony being integrated right now, so having another vassal is definitely within the realm of possibility. And poor Austria, Austria just got absolutely wrecked by our conflicts constantly. Constantly. Yeah, I mean, the Junker doing their thing, that's just a given, and our generals dying like flies. So, one thing that I want to talk about is the modded playthroughs of EU4. So there are a couple that I am considering. One of them is the RuneScape mod that I mentioned before. Other ones being like the Lord of the Rings mod. There's an Elder Scrolls mod, Abenar as well. I have played, a decent chunk of each one. But the thing about it is, like, for the RuneScape mod, for example, I have not seen any EU4 content creator cover it. And it might just be because it's RuneScape, so it's not, like, that well known compared to the other ones. Like, I know there's a World of Warcraft one too, but you just don't hear too much about the RuneScape mod. And I gotta tell you, like, the work that's been put into that mod is absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. So while we're going ahead and upgrading these additional great projects, we're also restructuring our forces because Scandinavia is allied with Poland, and I guess we're going to be allowing some representation to happen, just a little bit, not too much. But yeah, going back to the mod owner did a fantastic job. It's essentially a hybrid of old school RuneScape and RuneScape 3. For those of you who are not too well aware about RuneScape, there was a time in which the game actually, I don't want to call it a schism. There was a time in which the game went through a dramatic change with the evolution of combat years ago. And that drove a lot of the diehard fan base away because of the changes. But then later on, they reverted back to starting up an entire different amount of servers dedicated to an old school vibe, in which it was your typical point and click. And the mod author with the Gillinor Universalis, that's what it's called, has put that in with RuneScape 3 and turned it into the mod, which I must say is truly incredible, just even thinking about that. So while the war with Scandinavia is starting, we called in the Spanish. Were aggressively going after the territories of Lubeck, and we were already pushing into Poland. I decided to bring that army back down. I was planning on being a little bit aggressive against the Livonians, but I figured, like, if I only have the one army up there, it's probably not going to be a great thing. And while this is all happening, once in a lifetime decision was made here, because I'm not too big on the trade thing. I don't really like microing trade in this game. I know it's a horrible, horrible thing to neglect, but that's just who I am sometimes. But in this particular decision, I guess the burgers are the one that got the cake, because we were going after Lubeck anyway, so we're going to be getting the majority of the trade nodes value. So I figured, why not? It's easy. So with regards to the other mods, right? I have played the Lord of the Rings mod probably the most, and it's just because that I'm a very, very big Tolkien fan. I the entirety of the Lord of the Rings universe, I probably know a shameful amount of stuff about the lore from the very first age, all the Valar, the Maiar, all the first initial conflicts. My favorite is, I guess my favorite nation with regards to that universe would be the High Kingdom of Arnor. And then later, when it's fragmented into three, spoiler alert, the realm of Arthedain. So it also just, I mean, the minor rant incoming as we're like completely bulldozing through the Polish who are trying to siege down Vienna. That happens quite frequently because I completely forgot to upgrade that fort, but that's besides the point. It bothers me so much that there are certain YouTubers, I'm not going to be calling anybody out because quite frankly I just don't remember their names. If you're doing like a lore video of sorts, can we like universally agree that you kind of have to get the damn names right? It just irks me so much. Like, even when the same thing goes with RuneScape video, because I still watch RuneScape lore videos, and actually I saw one recently about the Zoroastrian Empire, and I think, well, it wasn't recent. It was put out a couple months ago, but at least this dude knew like what's what. Okay, saying the actual province names correctly, the characters' names correctly, all those just, it tickles my pickle in a way that I can't explain it to you guys. Yes, that is graphic. I apologize, but yeah, you really shouldn't be surprised. If you're here, you know what's coming out. So we're making an aggressive push against a Lithuanian army that's going up against a Spanish 2K, and obviously that was a win. Going back to it, I'm very hesitant when I watch lore videos, and that's why I'm always hesitant to put out lore videos, because I feel like I'm just going to piss somebody off by mispronouncing something. Even in EU4, just doing it the base like this, if I don't know the name of the province, I'm going to flat out say it, because I don't want to disrespect anybody. I don't want anybody to get pissed off by the way that I mispronounce something. And I probably do my own independent research and figuring out how the hell to say it before I actually, go forward and do it. So a major fight happening on Vienna. I don't believe we win this engagement because the Spanish just decide to just, turn the opposite direction. Or maybe they come in, I don't know. No, they don't. But yeah, this particular video that I was watching, very, very cool. It was a shorter video with regards to the fall of the Zoroastrian Empire, which, if you guys don't know, Zaros is a god in RuneScape. He is the god of fate and control. He's the one that I primarily liked to follow back then when I was part of a clan and whatnot. And you can, in the mod, you have the potential of reforming his empire. The Zoroastrian Empire covered the majority of what now, I guess, if you were to take a look at the RuneScape map, it would be the territories of Mistlin, Asgarnia, portions of Mauritania, like Halavale territory, the northern half, and Farinthri. So Farinthri being the wilderness. All this good stuff. And this dude put all of that in the mod. Every single bit of it. I'm just in awe of this person. I don't know, like, I wish I was that talented. And for there to be no coverage on that mod, it hurts. It hurts deep down because it's so good. So, but that being said, obviously, the Lord of the Rings mod, for example, I played as Gondor. I have also played as the Dunedain of Arnor, but then I found like their mission tree, it kind of just stops at a certain point. With Gondor, it progresses, and I think that's something that they're potentially working on. So, one thing that I do like in the Lord of the Rings mod, for example, is that most of your regions are not built up. It legitimately shows the decay of the kingdom of Gondor, especially in the fiefdoms, right? So, like, you have to build, like, a settlement building first. And then from the settlement building, because your development is low, you have to work on it. You're legitimately rebuilding from centuries of conflict. That's really cool. That's just, it's just chef's kiss, So at this point, right now, with our battle over here, we have made a significant push. We've sieged down what we need. We're going to go up against, go into Warsaw soon. The thing is, right, that, like I mentioned earlier, they're constantly trying to come down in here and take Vienna. And I've noticed a fatal flaw with my defensive structure here because they try to constantly get into former Bohemian territory. But we're over here just sack wiping left, right, and center. And this, ladies and gentlemen, everybody in between, is when I saw red. I completely lost it. Because the Ottomans down there are taking out Bulgaria. This is when I legitimately was frantically trying to end this war with my claims. Because if the Ottomans got that thing back, I would have honestly lost my shit. 100%. We have legitimately been fighting that nation constantly to get them out of the Balkans. And they turn around from that whole Songhai imperialist war with Great Britain and attack Bulgaria. That was a full-on, I'm taking my shit back moment. And I was not going to stand for it. Anything I could possibly do. I was even considering at this point to legitimately end this war and get my ass down there to stop them. That's how ridiculously frantic I was at this point. But with Poland getting out of the war here, the actual war allies at this point being Scandinavia, Livonian Order, and Riga, very, very, very easy to just take out on my own. With the aid of the Spanish, of course. But it's definitely not as difficult as dealing with Poland and Lithuania. Though Poland and Lithuania was not able to form the Commonwealth, do not ever underestimate this nation, because yes, their cavalry combat ability is very high. And late game Poland and Lithuania, if they are the Commonwealth, you're screwed. I'm telling you straight up. Like, I went ahead and looked at what they have, and their bonuses are just ridiculous. This is kind of when I noticed a couple of my armies actually did not have force march on, which I was very, very surprised about. I thought I pressed them on for every single one, but given my luck and my consistency, that was not happening. So, major battles about to happen here. A whole bunch of Scandinavian troops, and their sprites look badass, by the way. Like, I haven't seen Scandinavian sprites, like, practically ever, so that was definitely a first. And I love this era, man. It's just, like, the uniforms, the battle formations, like, everything. That's why I've been trying to actually, like, pump myself up and try to get back into Napoleon Total War. I re-downloaded it, by the way, and I've been playing a couple of matches here and there. I'm thinking with regards to, like, Napoleon Total War, I do more of, like, multiplayer stuff, because that's where I feel like I used to thrive, okay? I used to play multiplayer Napoleon Total War constantly with my friend Donald. Constantly. So I was actually looking through mods too, and they have a Napoleon Total War 3 mod, which is apparently really damn good. And what I'm thinking about doing is actually downloading that mod and doing multiplayer stuff in that. The thing about it is, though, that what you guys don't know about my current setup is I still only have one monitor. So when you hear random ass clicking, which I'm working on figuring out how that can remove that type of noise, that's because I'm actually alt-tabbing to get back to OBS to shut it off. I don't have it on a split screen. But I am thinking about getting an additional... This is a smaller screen. It doesn't have to be as large as the one that I have here, of course, to get that all situated. But, yes, so... The thing about Napoleon Total War is that I would actually have to alt-tab if I wanted to shut it off. So I don't really want to do that, because at the same time I would have to keep it in windowed mode, and in windowed mode it's not fun. I like that thing in full screen. And it's difficult sometimes, like, because you're trying to pan the camera and then the mouse goes off. It's just a whole ordeal that we're not going to be worried about. I will fix it, though, because that is one of my favorite games of all time, so definitely look out for that. Oh, the Empress Consort died. I forgot about that. Now, going back to this. This is something that I have never seen the AI be this stupid before. I want you to watch what happens. We're going to count how many armies get stacked here. 1, 2. Going to pull them back. We're sieging down Königsberg. I wasn't really worried about death stacking. At all, at the moment. My manpower reserves were so high. They're legitimately doing this. 3. So at this point, I was just like, well, if that's going to constantly happen, I'm going to cheese the living hell out of it, right? I honestly did not believe that there was another freaking stack coming. There it is, 47k. And they're not retreating. They're not moving. It's just like, oh, we can take Stralsund, 100%. We want this territory back. 4. It's just crazy to me. Poland was their only lifeline. And I still want to know that I'm still frantic at this point to end this goddamn war to get down there to attack the Ottomans. I was just very curious to see how many of these freaking idiot-ass armies are actually going to march across. And I said, I think that 52k actually does do it as well. Yeah, it does. Look at that. Look at that. That is essentially their main army for the most part. A good half of it. And we also attack this one coming up here. But because they have no route for retreat down here in Stralsund, they're just going to get wiped again. They don't, on the other hand. So we're just spreading them out so we just don't take massive amounts of attrition. But Greece over here being the mega Chad Lord, 5. 5 stack wipes on the same damn province. That is half of their army just bam, done. No, the military tech. This is also going back to my whole original statement with regards to the whole Napoleonic era being one of my favorites. So this is a part where I actually had to discuss a whole bunch. Because ideally, I was either going to go Jaeger, infantry, or drill to be a completely historically accurate, quote-unquote, right? With the Prussian feel. But my love for the Napoleonic square took hold because, I mean, in comparison, yes, the Jaegers would have had better defensive morale, but I figured I'm a very aggressive player with my military as much as I can be in EU4. So I was like, you know what? To hell with it. I cannot do anything else. I have to go with the Napoleonic square. And it took a decent amount of time in my crazy brain, to rationalize that and actually press the button. But at this point, the war is pretty much over. It's not like I really wanted to push them much further, and nor did I want to take Livonian territory. I didn't also want to take anything from Poland, obviously, because even though I have claims on them, it doesn't matter. I feel later on I can, but I mean, right now it's just whatever. If it happens, it happens. But at the same time, I'm constantly like panning the camera down there to see what the hell has happened with the Ottomans and the Bulgarians. I was pissed, like legitimately pissed. How can that nation come back from that shit? It's unbelievable. And you know, they don't come back by like small increments, okay? They come back with like this zealous fury that they can just pull manpower reserves out the ass and just be like, oh yeah, okay, I'm back here. Yeah, I'm gonna be an asshole. Look at that. I was freaking out because like looking at their war score or something, I think they got up to like 89 or something percent that they were actually going to lose at any given moment. So here I am trying to figure out what the hell to do in order to get this friggin' war over, and I'm just keep pushing because I mean over here Portugal's brought in a whole bunch of troops and like single bits here and there, and you know, we're just keep relentlessly pushing the Scandinavians. I didn't want to honestly get all the way to Stockholm just to finish this war. If I had done that, then I probably wouldn't have been able to get down here, because like they're just marching all across. I don't know how the hell they even managed that. I guess Greece might have given them military access. But yeah, fully sieged down. So at this point, I'm freaking out. 100% freaking out that they're going to be knocked out. But I think the only reason why they didn't is because Siena was still in this war. And them being allied with Siena gave me enough time to honestly be able to, might be jumping the gun a little bit, but I'm more passionate about what's happening down there, okay? We were able to take all of our shit, and let me tell you, I do not hesitate after this point. None of my armies are in position to get at them, okay? No one. Not a damn bit. I don't care about coring. I don't care about converting. I get my ass over here, and for some reason I have a permanent core down there. I don't know how that happened. It might have been through like some sort of event that I completely forgot about, but regardless of the case of whatever the hell it is, I saw red at this point. Complete chaos protocols engaged, try to figure out who the hell, which region to go for, and just picked the, I don't know, whichever one I could, and said, you know, screw it, I'm going for it. Because that's just ridiculous. I wasn't, like, we had to release Bulgaria, bring them back, and then ensure their safety to a point, and then the moment that our guarantee went away, we were just like, okay, Ottomans, now they want to come on in and try to take our hard work, what the Prussians gave their lives for, to a free Balkan territory? Absolutely not. An immediate war on the Ottomans. I actually did not plan for a war with the Ottomans in this particular episode. I wanted to give them a little bit of reprieve. Just a little bit, not too much. That did not happen. They're the ones that did it, not me. So you can call me the world police in this particular campaign, because that's legitimately what I am. The only one I can't deal with is Great Britain. But we're going to have to get at them at some point. But yeah, I just blitz the hell down here. I death stack on their fort lines, because I know they have like an army or something around here. And I need to get into Bulgaria as fast as possible to help siege them down. Them being fully sieged means their war exhaustion is going up the wazoo, and I don't know whether they actually had forces at the time, so they might have actually gotten wiped. But the moment Belgrade fell is the moment that I just blitzed into Bulgaria and started sieging every bit of them down. And we also pulled the Spanish in here, which by proxy also means we pulled in the Portuguese because of that lovely personal union that they have over now, which is an insane combination, might I add. Like, they pretty much own a good chunk of the world at this point. And going over here and sieging every little bit of this down, just to give them time. My goal was that they weren't going to actually end the war by having any of their cores be returned to the Ottomans. And I had two goals in this with peace deal, rather. I wasn't certain whether I could release Hungary, and fun fact, I can. That's a little bit of heading forward into what will later happen. But let's just say that the Balkans have a new nation. Or rather, a nation that should be free. And I can, honestly, I'm so upset that the freaking mic was not working at that time. And by the way, I completely forgot that the 90K was still stuck up there in Livonian territory until much later. We pushed into Anatolia. I was just screaming at this point. I was like, there is no way your asses are actually doing this shit right now. Like, you actually tried to take out Bulgaria, and you did not think that we would get involved. I was actually hoping for the pop-up to, like, intervene in the war, but I was like, the next best thing is just to declare myself and just get at them. I had enough manpower. Even if I didn't, I probably would have done this. Let me be very frank with you. I would have still done this, because I did not want them to get back here in the Balkans. In the meantime, we are all also upgrading our great projects, even for our vassals. And there's no way, like, their navy is capable of, like, dealing anything with regards to, like, the Spanish and Portuguese navies outside of the Mediterranean, so they kind of just keep their shit right here. But yeah, the previous Ottoman fights were very, very drawn out. This one was like, I just blitzed at them with every, like, I don't know what came over me. It was just like this aggression. It just took over. Let's pull in a Star Wars reference for the hell of it. You know, because I'm a big Star Wars fan. I hope some of you guys are as well. I could venture to say that my eyes turned Sith yellow. Dead ass. There was in no way, shape, or form I was going to let that stand. And that's a Sith coming to the defense of somebody. I mean, there have been, like, I don't remember the Sith's name. But he was like a quote-unquote... He was a Sith. He followed a practitioner of the dark side, but he didn't actually do many horrible things. But I think he was a businessman for the longest time. I just don't remember. There's so much extended lore, both in canon and legends at this point. I honestly need to have time to go through it and just legitimately catch myself up on it. But yeah, I'm constantly checking Bulgaria's war score to see what's happening, and that's when I figured out I had 90k up there, so I could just rush them down through Polish-Lithuanian territory. They don't even reinforce. That's the crazy thing. Like, we kill off their army so fast that they just don't have time to react at this point. And their morale, in comparison to ours, is a lot lower. And that's what I'm actually surprised about. I thought the Ottomans actually had higher morale bonus. I know they have discipline bonuses, but I honestly thought that they would have better morale. I think in this campaign, they're at like 4 or 5, and we're close to 10. So double their number. And their discipline is not bad, though. I have to give them that. Their discipline is not bad. Their morale is what's killing it for them. And they spent so much money on hiring a whole bunch of mercs and whatnot. I think the maximum, they got close to 700,000 in the field in this particular war. But, you know, does that really matter to Prussian military strength? Now I can see why Prussia is one of those nations that, if it forms, if you're just playing any other nation, you need to either make them your vassal, or you need to kill them off really freaking fast. Because if you let Prussia exist, this is what's going to happen. That being said, like, if you also dismantle the HRE and Prussia exists, this is what's going to happen. More than likely not, you will not see that happen, because Poland-Lithuania becomes the Commonwealth 9 times out of 10. I've actually, like, throughout this entire time that I've been playing EU4, one of the rarest nations I've seen actually legitimately form before they made Ducal Prussia has been Prussia. I've maybe seen it form once or twice. And the thing about it is, there's an achievement, I think it's for Nepal, that you actually need to fight Prussia, a legit Prussia, and you need to deal a certain amount of casualties towards them in order for that achievement to fire. Like, there are a lot of weird ass achievements in this game that I don't really feel like I could ever get. Kudos to those who have, man. It took me forever just to get, like, I don't know, the Komnenoi Restoration achievement, for Christ's sake, let alone anything else of that magnitude. And when that little pop-up comes out when you're loading the game saying that after thousands of hours you're still learning things about this game is, like, the truest statement I've ever friggin' read about this game. But at this point, like, the Ottomans are in a full-scale retreat. If they try to, like, get past our lines like what they're trying to do here in Hungary, that's their only opportunity to try to take land from us. And those armies in the north, the only reason that they're still there and still be able to come through is because we still haven't sieged down the Crimean territory. But everywhere else, it's just a massive blitz attack. And stack wipes happening out the wazoo. It's crazy how strong certain nations can be, but obviously you have to form the nation in order to gain those bonuses. So I guess at that point it makes sense. So you've already done the legwork, so you might as well have a good nation. I think I formed Lotharingia once, trying to get the Marie of Lotharingia achievement. It didn't work, by the way, because she died the moment that I was actually able to get the provinces necessary to form it, which sucked. Lotharingia is actually a very, very powerful nation. I haven't tried the Angevin Kingdom, and later, I guess, the Angevin Empire. Are they good? I would venture to say they are. Oh yeah, so my emperor died. Friedrich Albrecht I assumed the throne, but then look at the heir. 565, and he's a newborn. So I don't think our emperor is going to be on the throne for too long, so we're going to be reaping the benefits of a very, very good heir. And we're getting close to late game anyway, so, I mean, we are actually in late game. I mean, getting close to the end of this campaign. I don't know how many more nations I can jet out of the Ottomans at this point, because I do, like, the immediate goal was to liberate the Balkans, and I'm still working on that front. After that, I mean, Italy still needs to be returned back to, probably Spain. I might take Ravenna for myself and release Urbino at some point, but the Russians just do not help at all. The Russians have so many issues economically, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And, you know, to a point, I feel like I just should never ally them ever. They don't help. The only thing that they can be used for is a deterrent. The only other time, I guess, from this point on that I should ally the Russians is if somebody I know is actually playing them. The AI for Russia is just, it does the dumbest shit. They take forever to get their troops over, and the moment that they do, like, Moscow's been sieged, St. Petersburg has been sieged, all their other territories have been sieged, Novgorod has been sieged, friggin' every area, they just lose. I'm not saying that they're a weak nation by any means. They're very, very powerful. I just don't understand the AI. But I guess, you know, a vast amount of territory like that, you have to police it somehow. So, I don't know. Only a deterrent. That's what I'd probably use them for. I would never call them into another war. They did not join in on this one. They offered condottieri to the Spanish, which, I mean, to a point that does help. I mean, 20k right there is a good thing to have, obviously. But just having them in the war is just going to drain your own war score, and you don't want that to happen. So we need to royal marry all of our vassals again, and the Ottomans at this point start to have revolutionaries, which I did have a little bit of an evil laugh when they popped up. So naturally I was like, oh, okay, I'm doing all I can to screw this nation over as much as possible. And I'm not entirely certain where their economy is still so strong yet. I know they have... so they have dominance in the Alexandria trade node, more than likely the Persian trade node, which is a very, very strong location. I'm not sure how they are in Constantinople. I venture to say they're they're a lot weaker, considering how they don't own Constantinople anymore. But nevertheless, I mean, their development is probably high in Egypt, too. I'm not sure how rich Mesopotamian regions are. Like I said, I don't really play in that side of the map for the most part. I mean, I kind of take the literal approach. It's called Europa Universalis, so play in Europe type deal. This is also something I'm interested in. So Hessen Kaifa is also getting a much-needed mission tree. And I'm very, very curious to see how that plays out, because to reform the EUIVs, that would be really cool. Like, actually do it with a mission tree instead of a basic-ass one. That's what I didn't understand with the last DLC. Was it called King of Kings? When Georgia, Emirati, Samtskhe, all those other territories, I think Armenia also got a little bit of flavor, but then Trebizond got absolutely nothing. I was one of those people that were saying, like, what the shit? Like, all Trebizond got was, like, a mission through Georgia to become a vassal? Excuse me? Why? You have a legitimate achievement attached to this goddamn nation. Why the hell did you do that? But now I understand, because they were planning with something like this. Or, there was legitimate outrage, quote-unquote, and they said, okay, we might as well do something with Trebizond, because we don't want to piss everybody off. But just figure this out. 100%. You can royal marry heathens. That is so strong for them. Given their position, the whole thing with Trebizond, which back then, I was trying to find guides left, right, and center, right? I watched Fleury play his version of campaign, and that dude's just incredible, by the way. And I was just like, Rantius.exe has stopped working. But then I kept trying it, and eventually I got it, but I did unorthodox tactics in order to have that happen. But factor in that you can royal marry the Ottomans, so you get them off your back, and you can make them somewhat like you if you just improve relations with them a whole bunch. One of the tactics is that you improve relations with AQ, and then AQ guarantees your independence, so you can just go up against Georgia and Emirati. But Emirati doesn't exist at the beginning of the game anymore, which is kind of sad. So, like, your immediate expansion path, because they have no allies, and if they did have one, it would be Circassia, is kind of gone as Trebizond. So, we'll have to see. At this point, the Ottoman War is going very successfully. We were able to 100% save Bulgaria. And at this point, I was like, I need to find the remnants of their forces and just keep killing them off. their forces in the north are gone. They will not attack there again. We sieged them entirely down. Bulgaria is also, they have like individual little armies and they're going around and sieging down what they can. The goal at the time was to make sure that the Bulgarians get out of the war first, or to completely reduce the Ottoman military presence to like literally 10,000 men so the Bulgarians would not have to deal with them. And obviously kill off as many of their allies as possible. So it's relentless. This is why I feel like if I were in a multiplayer situation, I would be an absolute menace to people. Either that or people would just be like, hey man, can you help me kill off this person? I'll be like, yeah, sure, for how much? You want my forces, right? So you're going to have to... essentially, I'd be a mercenary for hire. The way I see it is, if you want to make a lot of money in this game, just kill everybody off. You're going to be gaining a whole bunch of money through that outlet anyway. If they don't exist, then there's no one to rival you. This was crazy. Incompetent cousin in Gascony. Do you guys consider this guy, Henry the 15th, to actually be an incompetent cousin of ours, a 664? In my mind, rather, his incompetence is through the fact that he's level 4 in military. That's all I'm saying. But, I mean, isn't that crazy? All these good heirs just popping out of nowhere at the late game. So, I mean, it is what it is. That's EU4 in a nutshell. When you need them, they're not there. When you don't need them, they're there. But Spain has been an absolute Chad Lord going on through this entire campaign. We haven't had any issues with them. They haven't wanted to rival us. Our trust with them is at 100. I don't think they're ever going to rival us, and even if they do, it's not going to be fun for them. Which I'm surprised, considering how they probably did want some form of French territory. Normally they take Labour, but I don't know. Navarra, speaking of OPMs, I guess, is another nation that I'm actually considering. And it's not for the... what you might think. I actually do have the Bask and Glory achievement as well, so it wouldn't be an achievement run. It's just because their sprites look cool. It was part of the Italy campaign that I saw their sprites for the first time in late game, and they look nice. Because at that point, like, when I was playing Navarra and I did the Bask and Glory achievement, essentially I stopped once I actually got the achievement and formed Spain to see what would happen. Because at that point, I had all the Spanish achievements, for the most part. I think I have them all. I have to double check. Sometimes I say something, I go look at it, and then I'm like, oh shit, I got that wrong. But for the most part, I think I do have their achievements. So I'm just like, whatever, screw it. I have it anyway. The fact that they can get I think it's a Restoration of the Union CB on France is pretty strong. Just good luck finding whoever to take them out. I don't know. Militarily, they're not that fantastic. They're good with trade and stuff. Early game, they're an absolute unit, though, if you play them right. Like, you build up their development a little bit. I mean, their territory is mountains, so you'll have that natural development penalty. But once you get past that and you get Vizcaya, I think that's the first territory that they want you to take. But if you just go out against Aragon, you're pretty much golden, right? Because you have to take like the central bit of Aragonese territory before you can unlock more of your mission tree. At that point, you get claims everywhere. Your best bet is to ally the French, to be perfectly honest. Everybody's trying that achievement. That's what I did. I developed my province as much as I could. I improved relations, because you start off with a decent amount of diplomats as Navarra, which is fantastic. And you pretty much try to ally France as quickly as possible and use them to go up against the Aragonese before the Iberian wedding happens. Because you are on a time crunch there. I will be very honest in saying you have to get that done relatively quickly. I didn't go for the Restoration of the Union with Aragon. I didn't see a need for it. I was like, I'm going to kill them off anyway, and there's no way they're going to be loyal. And the first person who's going to get at my ass is more than likely going to be Castile, because they want the territory. Why wouldn't they? So at this point, we pretty much routed a good portion of the Ottoman armies. I think right now they're kind of sitting somewhere at around 170,000 in the field. No manpower reserves. All their mercs had been either killed off or they just didn't have enough money to pay for them. So either way, I mean, the campaign was looking freaking nasty as is. It's so satisfying to see this nation constantly get steamrolled. Not just once, twice, 3 times, constantly get steamrolled. I don't even know what it is about it. Like, I have to be honest. Okay, I'm a big fan of the Ottomans just in general, but in EU4, they just, no. I don't know. At this point, go on a slight tangent, I'll get back to that topic in a moment. Bulgaria got out of the war, so we were able to save them. That is what our goal was. We saved Bulgaria. We did what we needed to do. We pushed the Ottoman armies into both the Persian region and the Arabian Peninsula, and we kept them there. That was what I absolutely loved about our Blitz attack. This one was definitely as pleasing as retaking Constantinople for the Greeks. That's how I saw it. And Serbians have some rebels over there. I didn't really think about it much at the time. Later on, I deal with them, though. Because, fun fact, you can't actually release the nation. More than likely you guys know this, but if they're rebels of a nation that you're trying to release, you won't actually see it as part of the peace deal until the rebels have been defeated. So the Ottomans are just, like, they're holding on as much as possible. So doubling back to what I was saying before, I played the Ottomans, like, in civilization games and whatnot. I even listened to the Civ 5 Ottoman war theme from time to time. Yes, I am that type of person. I love game soundtracks. If they're really good, I'll just listen to them constantly. But in EU4, I don't know what it is about them that I just cannot bring myself to play them. It might have also been that, like, whenever I would play in a multiplayer situation, I always had to play a nation that I knew was going to get large in a problem. And the Ottomans were someone that I played in order for that not to happen. So I might just be having a bit of bad blood in that regard. And I might be biased because of it. But I'm trying to get over that because I do want to try and prog Mehmet's ambition. I really do. That's one achievement that I actually did try once. And I didn't get... I mean, I got kind of close. It wasn't like I still need to figure out what to do properly and when. But I have been thinking about doing that seriously. Maybe in the future, I'll definitely do so. So at this point, I think their armies are pretty much routed. They keep going in between the Arabian Peninsula and going back into Egypt. There's no one in the Persian region. They have rebels popping up everywhere. Their economy is in tatters, and they're just on a constant... they're holding S. If you're an Overwatch player, you know that meaning. Like, you don't want to hold S, you want to hold W. You hold W, you win the game. If you don't, not at all. So they're starting to piece out their allies at this point. Nothing else we really can do or should do. We want this war to end because we want to constantly fight them again. And unfortunately, in this time as well, Albania was attacked by Venice. I'm not entirely certain what happened. I wasn't planning on dealing with Venice, but I mean, in order to release Albania, I might. I can't guarantee every single person's existence in the Balkans. Sometimes I have to kind of just like close my eyes and be like, whatever the hell happens, happens, right? So if Venice takes over Albania, or maybe they have, I don't know, I didn't look. It is what it is. I can't do anything about it. So long as the Ottomans are not the ones in the Balkans, I'm cool with it. I'm absolutely cool with it. This was my, when I noticed that I could actually release Hungary from the Ottomans. And I was seriously considering it, given their location and the amount of territory they owned. But then my whole thing is, like, if I would have done that there, then I would have had to guarantee their independence, first of all, because Poland would have gone after them. And I was trying to see what else I could do here, but by releasing Hungary, that would have had to be a war in and of itself. Either that, or I take a core from them later, release Hungary, do reconquest, and even fight Poland to take over all their territories that they used to own. So that might actually be something that I try. But given the year 1788, I don't know how much more time is left here. My whole thing now is just nation ruining. That's how I feel like this Prussian campaign's turned into. Constant nation ruining, constant blitz attacking, and you know, showing our massive schlong, for lack of better words, to the world, pretty much. Which is not a horrible thing to have happen, you know, in comparison to the Ottomans. Like, you want to make sure you fight them. I'm pretty sure, like, they made this nation to be the final boss, pretty much. So that's essentially what we're doing. We're fighting the final boss, and we're kicking its ass every single time. You gotta love it. It's pleasing. It's very pleasing to see. Looking at Poland, Lithuania, I really should drop my bias and actually play them once. I know they're good. I know they are. Hell, I've used them enough in order to know that they're good. There were a long time ago I tried to... I played Byzantium just on my own. I wasn't recording or anything, but Poland, Lithuania, and then later on the Commonwealth were my best buddies throughout the entire campaign. They were doing so much legwork. No one could beat them. No one else would be able to rival them. There's no HRE to contest them. They just bulldoze, and that's crazy. So at this point, Serbia is going to get released back to the world. I was very happy to see this. One of my best friends, she's like my sister. She's Serbian. That was not the thought process behind releasing them in this one, but holds a special place for me. And I was trying to figure out what to do here. I was considering Urbino, but then when I looked at it, we hadn't occupied the fort of Urbino, so they wouldn't have done it anyway. And I figured, what else could we possibly do in this particular situation? Because we could release smaller nations like Trebizond, Theodoro, and hell, we could have even released Armenia if we really wanted to. But I needed it to be in a position that I could still have a sphere of influence, per se. So instead, what I did is a reverse reconquest for Byzantine territory in Anatolia, pretty much. So I gave, if you guys are familiar with the Byzantine mission tree, very early on, after you reconquer your cores, your Greek cores, you gain cores over the western coastline of Anatolia. And I essentially did that here. I decided to do a reconquest in my mind and just give all these territories back to the Greeks. I think I need to swap Aydin to the Greeks. I think it's still under my occupation. I think I check. Yep, it's still under my occupation. And Teke, I think that's how you say it. I am planning on learning how to speak Turkish. It's in the to-do list, honestly. There's so much on the to-do list. But, like, I mean, you figure at a certain point, like, you just don't have enough time in the world in order for certain things to happen, right? So I release... I decided to not go for Urbino because I just can't do it. And pretty much the long and short of it is we have the Anatolian coastline. And I had them return Crete back to the Greeks. The only thing that's really I have to give back is Rhodes. But, you know, it's looking so aesthetically pleasing. See these nations back. I hate it every single time the Ottomans start going on a tear to take out these regions. But with that being said, thank you for watching this episode. I really appreciate it. Please like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell button. Help me grow the channel. I really appreciate it. Hopefully you enjoyed my rants and my conversations here. Have a great one.